Severe weather and flooding are all possible this week, and we'll discuss those things in today's forecast next. As far as today's severe weather threat, we have a large marginal risk going all the way down into parts of Texas here, down to near Lubbock, up towards central Kansas, central Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, uh, almost up to northern Michigan here, Sault Ste. Marie, a large area even going over towards Albany, New York, back towards Harrisburg, PA, St. Louis, Missouri, right? And a small area in Oklahoma here as well. So a large marginal risk, like I said. We also have a large slight risk here as well, encompassing the upper Midwest here, generally centered on the Detroit area, back towards Rochester, Pittsburgh, Shelbyville, Franklin, Indiana, Bloomington, Illinois, up towards Chicago here. So this is for today's threat. As far as tornadoes, even though there's a small risk for tornadoes today, it will they could be strong if you do have one fire up in this area. Okay, so anywhere in this area you could have up to you have two tornadoes. Okay, so be mindful of that as you travel today. The wind risk today is quite large as well, with a higher risk here in parts of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and in New York, back towards Rochester, encompassing the whole slight risk area, with a less with a 5% wind risk in the Brown area here, and also back into parts of Oklahoma and Texas today. So what this means is we have a chance for 50 knot or greater wind gusts within this area. No hatching, so not expecting too bad of a wind threat, but anywhere in the 15% area, you definitely have more chance of getting high winds today. Hail risk is already is quite large as well, all the way going down all the way into Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, back towards Missouri, pretty much encompassing the whole area here. If you go back to the categorical, right? So that's your slight and marginal risk. Go back to the hail risk. You have an area focused in parts of Illinois, Indiana, back towards Bloomington, Chicago, Flint, Michigan, Mansfield, Ohio, that you have a better chance for seeing 1 inch hail, okay, and less of a risk in the brown area here. So today starts the beginning of excessive rainfall risk as well, and we now have a slight risk of excessive rainfall leading to flooding within 25 miles of a point, especially in the Erie, Pennsylvania area, Buffalo, New York, Pontiac, Michigan area, with a larger marginal risk going all the way back towards Chicago, generally Mansfield, Ohio, Birmingham, New York, Albany, New Hampshire, parts of New Hampshire here, as well as Vermont. Okay, so I overlaid this with the radar just to show where the precip is headed here, right? So we see the radar, and the precip is going to be hanging out on a boundary that's going to set up here, which could lead to heavy rain. I wonder if they got any snowpacks still up here in this area that could melt off as well. So we'll have to see about that too. So you can see why they have the slight risk of excessive rainfall with flooding here. Generally in the Rochester area seems to have the highest chance of precip here, right? So going back to today, right, you see where it's centered on, up to maybe a couple inches of rain today, which doesn't seem like a lot, I guess, but given that we might have some snowpack still in the ground and it's melting, I don't know. Let's maybe, I know I talked about this. I don't know when I have to have time to look at this, but look at that. But, and again, just take it for what it is. If you see flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown. Don't try to drive through it, okay? Your life is not worth it here, ever, to do that. So we go to tomorrow, which is Wednesday, right? We now have more severe weather on the books here. And this threat shifts further to the west here, also along the mid-Atlantic, as that system size to the south that was up in this area today, right? So large general thunderstorm risk as well, encompassing most of the south and parts of the Mountain West and the west coast here back towards Oregon. So we go to the severe threat in the middle part of the country. The marginal risk spans all the way from southern Texas all the way up to parts of Illinois, Burlington, Illinois here. It looks like Burlington, Iowa. Yeah, it's right on the border here. Anyway, you see where the marginal risk goes up to the north here. Fort Smith, Arkansas, Dallas, Texas, and points westward towards Kansas, Woodward, Oklahoma here, sorry, and Snyder, Texas. So we also have the slight risk that goes all the way from Chillicothe down to near Abilene, Texas, encompassing most of central Oklahoma and parts of Kansas into Kansas City. So big cities, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, uh, are in Wichita Falls. It's not a huge city, but it's pretty big anyway, are all in the crosshairs today. So we also have this marginal risk along the Pennsylvania border, right? So what's driving these threats? We have a strong tornado threat anywhere in this hatched area. Okay, so 2% threat in the green, and we have a 5% threat within the brown, right? So, but anywhere in the hatched area that's covering these two colors, you could have up to EF2 tornadoes, possible strong tornadoes here, although isolated in coverage, I would say. Wind is a bigger threat here, a larger threat, I would say, right? And far to the south into parts of Texas and southern Oklahoma, we have the potential for hurricane force wind gusts. And in the yellow area, we have a higher chance 50 knot or greater wind gusts, but and further south, excuse me, in the hatched areas where we have the hurricane force wind gust probabilities here. And we also have the chance for some 50 knot wind gusts back here along the Pennsylvania Maryland border back towards Ohio here. Hail, we have the chance here for hail in the marginal and slight risk area here in the central U.S. and the deep south here in the Texas and into the mid-Atlantic, with the possibility of up to 2-inch or greater hail within this hatched area, with the highest probabilities in the the yellow area here that we just talked about. So going to day 2, which is tomorrow, for your excessive rainfall. Man, I'll tell you, we got excessive rainfall all over the map. Each day, all 5 days, we got excessive rainfall and flooding concerns here. And this one is centered pretty much in Kansas City area, towards up towards Des Moines, Iowa, just to the south here, and into southern Texas, parts of Oklahoma with the marginal risk, all the way up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Waterloo, Iowa, and encompassing most of Illinois down to Greenville, parts of western Indiana, towards Winnemac here, Lebanon, Missouri, Springfield, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and encompassing Dallas, Texas once again. So that's your threat area for tomorrow, right? So what's the most precip expected? You see the bullseye here in parts of northwestern Missouri, northeastern Kansas, and southern Iowa looks to get the most precip, with a bullseye right here in the Kingston area. I'm not saying that's going to be exactly where it is, but that's why we have our slight risk of excessive rainfall in this area tomorrow. So going into Thursday, we have another severe threat looming here, back in the same area we just had it, right? So Chicago, Springfield, Illinois, Flint, Michigan, and the surrounding areas here down to the south to Springfield, Missouri, roughly, Lebanon, Missouri, Kansas City, Des Moines, Iowa, Waterloo, and up towards Cadillac, Michigan, and points to the east here near Shelbyville, Indiana, Jasper, and Paducah, Kentucky, and Poplar Bluff as well, and Missouri here. Okay, so a lot going on, and this is we're gonna see how this plays out, but I think all threats are on the table here, and with the possibility of maybe EF2 tornadoes here, significant hail and high winds. So we'll see what the Storm Prediction Center has to say in the coming days about this. We'll have a couple days to evaluate the parameter space here and see how it's going to play out. going into Thursday, we still have a marginal risk of heavy rain again, excessive rainfall in the area where we have severe weather, right? But to severe weather chances for day 3. See what I'm talking about? All right, so back to excessive rainfall. That's on the northern edge of it, but you see what I'm talking about here. The same areas that may have had heavy rain are going to have it again. So we get these repeated rounds of rainfall in this area. We could definitely have problems in the coming days. Generally, the area from Wisconsin Rapids to Davenport, Iowa, Chicago, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Flint, Michigan. So, relatively small area for Thursday's excessive rainfall threat. For day 5, which is Friday, we still have an excessive rainfall threat that moves further to the east here. I sound like a broken record today talking about all these threats, but there's a lot to talk about. Uh, you can see on the map here where the marginal threat extends from, pretty much from St. Louis, Missouri, a little bit further to the south, over Chicago again, Cleveland, Ohio, up towards Frederick, Michigan here, Alpena, Oswego, Rochester, New York, Erie, Pennsylvania, all the way up to parts of northern New York State and northern Vermont, and a sliver of New Hampshire here into Canada as well. So, a lot to talk about here today. So, even going into Saturday, we still have another marginal risk, a large marginal risk here, generally from parts of south central Texas through Dallas, through Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Mason City, Iowa, up towards parts of southern Minnesota, parts of Kansas, Lebanon, Missouri, all right, and Fort Smith, Arkansas, through Dallas as well. So, man, we got a lot to talk about today, and these multiple threats can really get you if you have severe weather and flooding going on at the same time. You better stay in your safe place till the threat passes. So going into Friday, this is the day for severe risk, right? So this is Friday, which is going to be, I have to look, April 3rd. So the Storm Prediction Center has outlined a level 50% severe risk here. So there's only 2 risks they do at this range. These are 15 to 30% chance. I think all hazards will be possible here, generally from parts of Oklahoma through Kansas City towards Iowa, toward Des Moines, Iowa, and back towards Topeka, Kansas, and into northwestern Missouri, towards Memphis, Missouri, and just right encompassing Des Moines here. And this area will likely change in the coming days as our forecast is refined, but I wanted to show you this just so you know that we got these threats just continuing all week here. And this is overlaid by the excessive rainfall outlook. It's a little bit further to the east here for day 4, right? But overall, we have, excessive rainfall expected each day in addition to severe weather here. So it's going to be a lot to talk about. So to start off with, I want to show you here the shortwave energy, 700 millibar flow for the the upper Midwest here. And on the onset of the next round of storms here, you can see right about 11 o'clock or so, you have what looks like a shortwave moving through the flow here. Just a little bit of something moving through here, right? Some enhancement. Right, and that's what we're seeing here on the radar, at least from what I can tell here. Very subtle, right? So let's move this through time, a few hours going forward. Okay, and you see some enhanced flow starting to really take shape here. We get into the afternoon at 4 p.m. and you can see the storms really firing up here and parts of the upper Midwest, right? So not seeing a lot of rotating updrafts with this, but at least you're going to have some wind gusts here and severe weather possible here as we get into the evening hours, 7 p.m. Well, it looks like the shortwave energy moving through here, and you see where most of the action is here. Okay, generally in Michigan, Indiana, and points eastward, and then you have some refiring convection further to the south here in parts of Illinois and Indiana, right? So now let's move this forward a little bit more. That short wave looks to move further to the east. and you just have a general troughiness out west here as well, with convection firing along this boundary here, rotating updrafts into parts of Michigan and Ohio as we get into the evening hours, 10 p.m. here. So let's move a little bit further out into the overnight hours with the NAM model here, which is a North American model, which goes a little bit further out. So this is the HRRR, which is a good short-range model. NAM is a little bit better at the mid-range here, so I'm going to switch to that. So this is the model, the NAM model, starting at about 8 p.m. Let's go through to 10 p.m. where we stopped with the other one with the HRRR. You see how it has more of a line developing here in the upper Midwest compared to what I showed with HRRR, and some general, like just a general flow like this, right? Not just, it's pretty subtle here, right? So we got these height falls that could lead to heavy rainfall and severe weather right along the boundary, especially south of the boundary where we have warmer temperatures, okay? And we have some higher shear values here and here as well. All right, so let's move a little bit further east and see what we have here. Here's your 700 millibar flow on the left here, and now we're focused in the mid-Atlantic, right? A pretty strong line of storms moving through parts of Indiana, Ohio, and getting ready to move into Pennsylvania and New York here. All right, as that energy pushes to the south, you see you have some change in direction here and some higher shear values associated with it along this boundary. All right, and you also may have the increase in the low-level jet here as well, which is if you look at 850 millibars, you would see a more of a flow here. We can look at that real quick. Let's see here. Some enhancement here at the low levels, but not a heck of a lot. So not that big of a deal. But any little enhancement at the low levels with the low level jet can help with storms rotation. Okay. So 4 a.m. tomorrow, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It's kind of a diffuse line starting to move through here. See how the line on the eastern extent kind of just loses energy, and you can see that kind of on the 700 millibar flow as well. And you can see why we have the heavy rainfall potential here with the moisture all in one area, right up in here into the around Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. So we'll have to keep this in mind today. So moving further to the south to the central U.S., right? We have this initiation boundary, and you can see the dry line feature down here in central Texas, Oklahoma, right? The dry line is just the boundary between the well-mixed air to the west. It's coming off to higher terrain here and pushing further eastward. And what happens usually during the day, it pushes eastward and then goes back to the west at night, right? But what we're seeing, we got the push of dry air from the north, maybe some surface type features developing along the line. It looks like, right? Because you see what looks like some, just you see what's happening here, like some enhancement with the moisture along this boundary, right? So let's look at the 700 or 850 millibar flow here. Right, so looking at the 850 millibar, which is close to the surface, you see some changing direction here with the winds. You see from the south, bringing moisture up from the south here and turning this way, okay? And the same thing here as well. So wherever we got this turning here, we could also have storms, right? So this is 1 a.m. tomorrow, so let's move this through. Okay, going back to 7 p.m. here. This is where the storms start firing. You see the enhancement of the flow starts to pick up here. It looks like almost a surface low developing here and maybe here as well. You can tell by the isotachs here, the wind barbs, just in general, just maybe a nebulous surface flow developing here in this area, okay? So get some enhancement with this. See the low level jet overnight really ramps up here with the winds, okay? So we're talking 10 p.m. now. Convection firing to the south here and up into Kansas as well, into Missouri and back in Indiana overnight. And maybe a refiring of the convection up here into parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa here overnight. Okay, more of an overrunning type event at this point, as this convection kind of fizzles out overnight into the morning hours on the 1st. So there's a lot to talk about today, and I don't want to make this an extraordinarily long video, so I focused on certain areas for today. And I'll do the same thing tomorrow for the forecast. It's strictly because of just how much time it's going to take to put all this together and give you the best, most current information possible. And I'll be here to give you those updates every day and during the day as necessary. I appreciate y'all trusting me. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, also leave them in the comments, but also let me know where you're at. I would appreciate that. Y'all have a great day, and I appreciate your support. God bless.